How are you supposed to heal from trauma? Everyone's journey to healing looks different, but if I've realized that I need to heal from something and I'm ready to get started, how do I go about starting the healing process? Hi there, I'm Mallory. Welcome back to the Tribal Trade channel, where we share new videos every single week about smudging, Indigenous culture, and Native teachings. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you never miss a video. What's interesting about trauma, and sometimes difficult to manage, is that it's rare that someone wears their trauma on their sleeve. Most of the time, trauma is invisible, even in our very own eyes. Because of this, you could be in a position where you need to heal from an emotional trauma that happened to you and not even be aware of it. Because of this, you could be in a position where you need to heal from an emotional trauma that happened to you and not even be aware of it. But let's just say you are fortunate enough to be aware. And yes, I mean it when I say fortunate, because being aware and conscious is the first step that you must take towards healing. Let's say you're aware of your trauma, but you still feel stuck. You might not know how to move past it or heal from it. You might have no idea how to go about moving on with your life. Trauma is good at making people feel stuck at the age that they were when it happened to them. And that can make many people feel like they can't move forward in any shape or form. But here's the thing. Trauma and pain are valuable to us as humans because they force us to grow. Difficult experiences allow us to really truly see the light and appreciate the positive experiences that we've had in our lives or that we're currently having in our lives. But in order to see the positive experiences for what they are, amazing, you have to gain clarity from the negative ones, and that starts with healing. So in this video, I am going to share with you my 5 steps for healing from emotional trauma. So let's get started. The first step towards healing from emotional trauma is awareness. Like I said in the intro, being aware of your trauma is the very first step towards moving past it, or at least moving to a place where you can handle it. Being aware of it can be scary because at times it can be more comfortable and safer to remain in the dark. But if you want to heal, you must be aware. You can't fight the monster if you don't know what you're up against. So ask yourself, what childhood stories, traumatic events stick out in your memory? This is usually a good place to start. I recently took a course from Simon Sinek called Start With Why. This course asked us to dig deep into our very first memories of life, and it was super interesting. It was also very similar to what I've gone through as a client with therapists, counselors, and other professionals that I've talked to throughout my life in my own mental health journey. Start with a memory and go from there. Your mind will take you to what matters. Whatever sticks out is sticking out for a reason. Other ways you can develop self-awareness surrounding trauma is by starting a journal for your feelings. If you don't feel ready to talk out loud about what's going on inside your head, writing is a wonderful outlet. If you never share those words with anyone, that's fine. If you decide to take the journal with you to a future therapist, that works too. Whatever feels best for you. This leads us to the second step in the healing process. The second step in healing from emotional trauma is centered around understanding. Being aware of a trauma that you need to heal from and understanding that trauma are two totally different things, and they're both very difficult in different ways. Being aware is pinpointing the issue that you need to deal with. Understanding the trauma is knowing why it needs to be dealt with. So, how do you go about unpacking the experience that scarred you? I'm not a therapist, but this is what has worked for me in the past. Start with your perspective on the issue or event and try to separate yourself from it entirely. Look at it from a facts-based standpoint, completely separate from the emotions of the ordeal. From there, decipher how you personally felt about the situation and attach emotions and feelings to what went on. Once you attach emotions and feelings, you begin to build a narrative, aka the story that surrounds the trauma of what happened to you. Once you get a clear image of your trauma, the bare bones version along with the colored in version, your sense of understanding will begin to deepen. The third step in healing from trauma is compassion. When I think about healing, I like to think about a younger version of myself. It's no secret that we, me, you, everyone can be tough on ourselves, sometimes to an extreme degree. Imagining your younger self dealing with this trauma in a helpful way to grow compassion towards yourself, that's great. We aren't always forgiving to who we are in the moment. We're more apt to forgive who we were in the past, even if blame doesn't come into play for your particular trauma. We're more likely to be compassionate towards a past version of ourselves because they inevitably know less than we know now. Imagine being able to talk to your younger self with love, kindness, compassion about the traumatic situation you were in. What would you tell yourself to support yourself in dealing with what happened? In what ways would you be compassionate with your younger self? Answer these questions and apply them to yourself today. And the ways that you would help your younger self heal, your older self deserves that care and kindness too. Compassion extends beyond yourself as well. Take note of who else was involved in this traumatic situation, if that's applicable. If there were others involved, are there ways that you can be compassionate towards them as well? Once you find compassion for yourself and everyone involved in your trauma, you are one step closer to healing. Deciding to heal can be scary. Have you begun your healing journey yet, or is this something that you're still considering? We're moving on to the fourth and fifth step of our healing process now. The fourth step in healing from trauma is based on forgiveness. We touched on forgiveness briefly in the third step when we discussed compassion, but the fourth step places an even heavier weight on the forgiveness itself. Without forgiveness, there is no moving forward. If there was someone or something that hurt you deeply, you may not feel ready to forgive them, and that's okay. Forgiveness doesn't and can't occur overnight, if it's real, genuine forgiveness anyway. And it also can't be forced. You may feel like whoever wronged you doesn't deserve your forgiveness, and the thing is, they might not. But what I'm here to help you realize is that forgiveness is not for the person being forgiven. Forgiveness is for you. By forgiving someone or something, you're releasing an emotional weight that you were holding onto and admitting that it doesn't serve you, that there's nothing you can do to change what happened, but there's plenty that you can do to change how you react and how you grow from it. Forgiveness is about your own personal healing. It's not about freeing someone else from the responsibility of what they did. Sometimes forgiveness needs to be dialed in and focused on ourselves. Maybe you need to forgive yourself for allowing the painful experience to happen to you. Maybe you feel you made a few bad decisions, were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or made irrevocable mistakes. None of these things are unforgivable. Self-blame is so common in situations of emotional trauma, even if it's subconscious. Forgiveness will help you to deal with the weight that brings along with it. Now, the fifth and final step in healing from trauma is growth. Now, this is arguably the most important step, and it's the step that everyone strives to reach. And it will happen for you, I promise, especially if you follow the previous 4 steps to get here. Growth involves learning from the past and making a choice to create a new blueprint for yourself. You can't heal if you continue to step in the same footprints that you left behind. So it's up to you to forge a new path on the road ahead. Growth is about making positive changes while reflecting on what got you to where you stand today. By remembering your past and using it to shape your future, you'll be up and up towards healing for the rest of your life. Here at Tribal Trade, we prioritize and value the mental health of Indigenous people and allies all across Turtle Island. If this video has helped you think about trauma in a new way, make sure to keep an eye on the content that we release. We're always sharing new ways to connect with yourself and your community in deep, meaningful ways. I hope that this video has helped you to think harder about your healing journey or encouraged you to keep going. I recommend giving it a like so that you can come back to it whenever you need to. If you want more words of encouragement and advice on healing from trauma, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so that you never miss a video. In the comments, please let me know which one of these steps resonated with you the most. Which step do you struggle with the most? And which do you find yourself gliding through? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.